Hello and welcome to Hardcast, where we'll sit and wonder for 3 issues before finally getting to an explanation. I'm Humphrey Erm.
And I'm Chris. Drink close.
Lifeline, give me Unity Volume 5, Homefront.
We start Unity Volume 5 with issue 15. Ninjak is all beaten up, getting back from a mission. He quickly goes back into his billionaire lifestyle where no one questions his swollen eye, but shows some signs of PTSD or something similar. Finally, on a mission/date with the German ambassador, he's finally asked about his eye. Colin, apparently cool with doing whatever and whoever to finish a mission, sleeps with the ambassador and takes the flash drive. And seriously, he's still in bandages and she doesn't ask any more questions? I mean, okay, anyway. Colin comes home and finds burglars in his house, easily defeats them, and shows that even though Unity missions are painful, he misses them and wouldn't trade it for the world.
So I have a delayed chuckle to the do whatever and whoever line. That's fine.
Yeah, but I don't know. That scene was just a little bit weird because, I mean, she showed some interest. I mean, it looked like they knew each other before and they even mentioned it in the comic. But the fact that, you know, he's literally then seen sitting up after having laid with her, he's still in bandages. So unless she knows what he does, which I don't think so, because then why would he kind of let him, or why would she let him in? It just feels so weird that she's just like, oh, look, you're all damaged. I don't think that came from a tennis racket. You know, that's how he explained the eye thing, which is also kind of weird, but I don't know. It's just very, very odd, that scene.
Yeah, well, it's the usual kind of Bruce Wayne-like. I mean, this was interesting because this was the first time we really got the Bruce Wayne part of the, like, Batman knockoff. Like, if you want to, call him that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I gotta say, maybe it's just because Bruce Wayne's more established and we know a little bit more about, Wayne Enterprises and like the supporting cast regarding that.
Yeah.
But it felt very, I don't know, this didn't feel quite as believable, I think. In terms of like, it didn't feel like he kept up a facade as well here as like Bruce Wayne would.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's hard to say because there are also shots where Bruce Wayne also has visible like pain or like visible wounds when he's being Bruce Wayne. So I don't think that's necessarily the problem. I think it's more, we only know him as Ninjak.
Exactly.
So I think it's kind of weird to see him now suddenly as Colin.
Exactly. Even in Ninjak Volume 1, it was basically just Ninjak.
Exactly. And I mean, maybe they want to try something new. And I think Ninjak Volume 1 did it better. Like, much better. I didn't feel like there was any... It didn't feel forced. The whole kind of, him being Colin again and having to do something because it was kind of like for the mission. But this, it just kind of felt... I mean, I understand what they were trying to do with this volume or with this arc. And I like what they did. I mean, I've really enjoyed this volume. But it did feel weird. It didn't feel like it was something that you would expect, but not necessarily in a bad way. I mean, I understood his feelings. I could understand, what he's going through. And sure, there's some parts like the whole, him sleeping with someone in bandages and stuff like that. It's just kind of weird. And yeah, it's like, all about the mission and stuff like that. And I get that. And then it's like a whole soldier syndrome thing where, he's at home and everything. I mean, this is kind of like with all of them, really. They all were talking about how Unity is such an amazing place to be or group to be with that it just feels unnatural to be back home and doing their own thing. And even the guy from Hardcore, even the guy from Hardcore mentioned it as well in the last issue of this volume that don't give them too much time off or they'll go crazy. And I like that. I mean, you can see it already here in all three of these stories. And I think that kind of tracked really well, and I really like it. I mean, it's a fun story. Seriously, I'm on page 29 right now, and how did she not say something about his bandages? I mean, it's like, what? I mean, that would have been such a funny line. Like, I mean, you have another panel or two of when they're actually like getting into bed or something like that. I don't know, maybe that would bump up a rating or something. But I think it would be just so funny if she takes off her shirt and just says something like, "Oh, was this from tennis too?" Or something like, "Oh, what, you know."
Well, I'm sure you could have had a fun Playboy line. No, that was with the last woman I was with. So like, oh, you.
Oh, you. Now put that inside me. I want to be the next notch on your bedpost.
Yeah, but again, it's just... I mean, this is kind of the thing as for all of the like first three issues. This is like really like a breather episode. Like nothing much really happens in terms of... I mean, the simplicity of that extra mission he does. Like nothing goes wrong.
Yeah. I was expecting something to happen, and it's like, oh, it's only going to take an hour. It's like, yeah, right.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, the only wrong thing is later on with those, what's called thieves in those suits. And even then, they're like super quickly taken care of.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about it, because it's sometimes you want that. Like, sure, it's nice with tension and like, excitement. So, but actually having like a little calm moment is really nice. And I'm going to mention this at the end of the podcast, like at the last issue. But yeah, there's just something about, I feel the way it's read as a volume helps a lot.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that too. But this is another one of those things where I want to point out that reading comics in volumes is the better way to read them. Just because, think about if you had to wait a month between each of these stories. I don't know. I wouldn't have necessarily wanted to wait that long. I mean, I'd rather wait, I guess. I mean, kind of shitty to say, like, I want to have my 145 pages right away every month. But I think I'd rather wait 4 months and then read everything at once than, wait a month or 3 weeks in between each time. I mean, it's kind of like if you would wait for a month for each new episode of like Rick and Morty or something like that, which I realize some people had to actually do. But you know what I mean? It's just, yeah, but we can get into that then later. Yeah. But yeah, to your point about having these breather episodes, I love them as well. And I always say that some of my favorite Dragon Ball episodes are the ones where they're not fighting something, because you get to know the characters, you get to spend time with them like if you're friends. And that's what I think just makes then everything else later much more valuable, and it feels because you feel such connection to the characters. And that's what I love about these things, because I like Ninjak much more now than I did before. I mean, Gilad couldn't have been any better. I mean, this helped a lot. It was a really nice issue, the one that's coming next. And then even the one with the live wire, it made me appreciate her character so much more. And that's why I think something like this is important. And yeah, it's a risk to not have a huge action piece and make everything like really tension high and stuff like that, and kind of like tone everything down a little bit. But I think it works. And if you do it right, like they did here, it works really well. So yeah, I really liked it.
So, and even in particular, yes, the opening, it's again, it's always tricky with a character like a Ninjak, just like with Batman.
Yeah.
Like you want to create some tension, so you want to show him hurt, show their vulnerability. But it also gets, yes, that whole thing we were discussing about before in terms of, it's a broken rib, but I'll manage.
Right.
So, I mean, here he's like, he barely makes it on board his ship, or like plane or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Before collapsing, and then like managing to then get on top, and even with the automation and assuming that it's like, some high-tech medical thing, it's still like, really, you're still going to flight yourself because you don't trust autopilot.
Yeah.
But it's nice. It's kind of nice seeing some. How would it, I was gonna say buffoonery, but it's not really that. But I guess it's kind of nice seeing the stubbornness not working out.
Mm.
Because I feel that's with Batman, for example, the issue with like even when, because you don't really like him like getting hurt is not like a character flaw or anything. He's just kind of it's just him being sacrificing himself for the greater good. But here, like no, Ninjak's just being an idiot. He's crashing
Right.
into his castle because he just didn't trust the autopilot.
Which is something that I like about Valiant. They have no problem making flawed characters or kind of also giving them consequences, because I don't think ever, like, unless it's something huge like Gwen Stacy's death or something like that, a lot of superheroes in the Marvel and DC universe, they don't make mistakes like that, like small mistakes. They make
Exactly, it
like
wasn't a big deal.
yeah. I mean, just the idea that this is part of his character, and I like it that he is impulsive. He's not this perfect thing like Batman is. Like even with Batman, I mean, if he would be like, no, I don't trust the autopilot, I'm going to fly myself.
And he'd manage it.
Yeah, he would have managed it, and he would have put a perfect landing, even though he was bleeding or had, like, I don't know, his intestines hanging out. He would be still like, oh, I'm going to make a perfect landing.
Exactly. Or, as you said, it'd have to be a big deal about it. It'd have to be the story that he does crash, but that results then in the story we're actually telling.
Right.
Where he has a lesson to learn. Here, it's not that it's inconsequential, but that adds to it surprisingly.
Yes, exactly, because it is relatable, because we all make those mistakes. We all have those things where, I mean, small things have like huge impacts on our lives, because we realize something fundamentally wrong about us. Like, we're just like, oh, I should have, and he even mentioned it, I should have just trusted the autopilot.
Yeah, and same thing with the car later too.
Exactly, and it's just like, maybe this is a point where he's, because again, he's very introspective in this whole thing. I mean, he has an internal dialogue, which he has, I think, in every comic. But he is thinking a lot about himself. He's meditating on who he is and what he's doing, and I think this is kind of one of those things where a lot of people do that as well. They make these small mistakes, and they either learn from it or not. I mean, maybe he didn't learn from it because he was driving with a car. So I don't know. Maybe it's this idea that he has this identity of trying to be someone that he's not, and he has to drive himself because that's what men do, or something like that, or what he should be doing. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it's interesting to see this kind of take on him, and not just boom and fighting and explosions and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, which is kind of amusing seeing then right after, the ad for Ninjak Volume 1, or Issue 1, I guess. So, because then they're immediately like, right, that was just a cool action scene there and really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think that's about it in terms of Issue 1.
Yeah. Also, I really wish our German ambassador would look that hot.
Well, they can't all be like that Russian war minister or whatever it is.
Ukrainian.
Was it Ukrainian? That really cute one that got all the fan art?
Yeah. She was Ukrainian. It was during the Russia thing when they were annexing.
Yeah. Okay.
Part of Ukraine. Yeah.
Anyways, issue 16.
Which I'm so jealous that you got to summarize.
We start from the same vague location as last issue, but now we follow Gilad recovering from his wounds instead. He's apparently living in a little houseboat in Tokyo, and while eating sushi, he remembers about his time in Japan, hundreds of years ago, and his warrior woman he was infatuated with. She dies in battle despite his best intentions, but he vows to keep her memory alive by telling her story to all of her descendants, as we see him do.
Her female
we end in a
descendants.
shirtless scene. Do they specifically mention that?
Yeah.
Aw, poor guys. They don't get to go about their strong woman relative.
Well, I mean, I think it's because the warrior woman says at the end, Tomoe, that she wants a prayer that her daughters would remember her.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And not only do we get an amazing, beautiful shirtless scene at the end, we also get one right away at the beginning. Just the beautiful soft bread that has the nice story in between. Anyway,
Yeah, it feels like this would be like he would be the Chris Hemsworth of the Valiant cinematic universe.
yeah. It is interesting that they literally had a naked scene with him right at the beginning, and I don't see a point, and I mean, obviously that's the point, to have him half naked or completely naked at the beginning. It's to show him off, but I think it's a different thing when you're doing it in a drawing than if you would do it in real life, because then you would actually see the actor,
Well, there's more of a thrill, really, right?
Yeah, because it's like, oh, that guy's real.
Oh, it's Scarlett Johansson in a bikini, or it's Chris Hemsworth shirtless.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you mean Chris Evans, right?
Or whoever.
All of the Chris's, including me, ladies. Do we have any ladies listening?
So, tweet about it if you do.
Tweet about it if you are. Anyway, yeah, but it is interesting. I mean, who's actually playing Gilad? Because I think I remember.
You told me it was the Batista.
Was that Batista?
The Ninjak versus Valiant universe.
Oh man, I'm not happy with that casting. I mean, Gilad that's not his body type. I mean, yeah. Well, we've had that conversation with Aquaman as well when Jason Momoa got that role. I wasn't too happy with that either.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, again, with Valiant in particular, we can't be too picky, I think.
Yeah, I guess. They take whatever action they can get.
I mean,
hey,
it's pretty cool.
Valiant, I'm available.
Yeah, no, I mean, they already have... It's amazing the kind of actors they've gotten a hold of it for so far. I mean, getting that guy playing a Ninjak from, Arrow.
Yeah.
So, and Jason David Frank, I'm sure he's not like, people are like, I'm sure he's not being offered roles all the time and stuff. But still, like, he's got some nerd cred, so to speak. Like Power Rangers fans are going to be like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So, it's not a student film. It's not like a fan project.
Yeah, it is. Dave Bautista is going to be... Looks like this, because it's the Eternal Warrior movie.
Oh, it's for the movie?
Yes, exactly. That's why it's such a big deal.
Wow, okay. I thought that was specifically for this web series.
No, the web series was already someone else. And that's what I mean. I mean, if you look at Dave Bautista, just look at his face and his muscle. I mean, I feel like Dave Bautista would be more of a Armstrong.
Yeah, you mentioned that because he's more of a sure. Armstrong's kind of like fat, but there's muscle underneath it all.
Yeah, and I think if you want to go that direction, if you want to make him kind of like, if you want to make Armstrong more the muscular kind of guy, I mean, that's what Dave Bautista looks like. He's that muscular because he has the certain type of muscle that kind of just is so much that it just kind of looks like just fat as well, kind of, if you're wearing the wrong kind of clothes.
And for the most part, he's always in that like hobo outfit, so it wouldn't really matter too much.
And I mean, if you look at if you look at Gilad's body here, he's cut. There's no fat on there. It's like he's got like a under 2% body fat or something, shit like that. That's what I mean. I feel like it would be more like, I mean, yeah, a Chris Hemsworth, a Chris Evans, another Chris. These kind of people, it would be more like. I'm not saying that, I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I mean, even Jason Momoa would probably be better. Because he still has that, like...
he would work well, I think.
Yeah, I think Jason Momoa would be an amazing casting for... Anyway, you know what? Let's not talk about casting. We can do that on our special episodes that might be coming soon.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea for us.
Yeah, we could talk about the acting credits or whatever.
Well, but either way, so...
Stay tuned for some new news.
Artistic merit of this page, I think it's more to just show, I guess, we get to see some of his wounds, which look more like bruises.
Yeah. I think those might just be the new wounds from the new battle.
Yeah, of course. He heals and all that. I think that's more of the thing. It's kind of, I mean, artistically, if noted he's not supposed to be sexual, is to show like vulnerability of some sort.
You think?
That's usually how I've always perceived it, and I've seen it explained in some like analysis and criticism. So kind of like that scene in, I think it's Alien 4. So it starts with like Ripley naked, like supposed to like simulate sort of like a birth.
Yeah, but I mean that's. I think I don't know if I know the scene you're talking about, but is she like in a kind of like a sleeping bubble thing?
I can't remember. It's been so long.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's more
Well,
like, but there's some sheets, I think, like some like that she kind of gets covered in, which work to censor as well as kind of show like a
mm,
struggle of being born or something.
yeah, but I mean that's more explicit. But with this, it's just kind of like he's just naked to get I mean, because you're gonna flip open the comic and you're like, ooh, hello. Um, yeah, I don't know, but let's get to the story. It was a nice story. It was a very typical kind of story. I felt.
Well, it's the
Yeah.
typical thing that works well with what's called with the Eternal Warrior.
Mm,
It's a bit like he's kind of like he's kind of like the Phantom if he really was the ghost who walks. I
okay.
mean, no, but like with the Phantom, it's all about his descendants taking over the role and
Yeah.
people thinking he's immortal because they constantly see the same this guy in this costume.
Hmm.
So, but in this case, it's like no, this really is the same guy all the time. And a lot of like Phantom stories are about like things going on in the present, and then they're like reading about they're reading the chronicles of the old Phantoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this story, like if they, not sure if he's ever been to Japan, but this
You
is
mean the
kind of how they would
Phantom?
have done.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also kind of nice to see like a house where Gilad lives.
Mm,
I mean, that was also really interesting just to see kind of like he said in it. It's amazing what you can collect over a lifetime, and it's just kind of nice to kind of see the different things that he has, even a little Wing Chun block thing.
and it's just kind of cool. I'm sure he has different places around the world,
Hmm.
little safe houses and whatnot. Because I was looking through it a bit, and because it felt very Asian inspired. I mean, obviously it's
Yeah.
in Tokyo.
Yeah.
I did see like a gladiator helmet and stuff like that. So I guess it is a bit of stuff from in like a sarcophagus.
Hmm.
So there's like some stuff from around the world and time. I don't just kind of think that's important for him to be specifically everything.
Yeah. And this one also, just to go back to the little conversation that we had last episode, when we also did kind of like this timeline of someone walking. We had that thing where the
Mm.
panels were like we had one splash page and then a panel of the woman walking through the panel, and then how everything was kind of where I said that it kind of looks like it was
Yeah,
uh
time has frozen.
yeah, time is frozen because of the way that people were. This is perfect because he's only in the panels 4 times.
Yeah, and there's nothing else to there's nothing else to indicate that things are happening.
Right. And I kind of like the way that this is set up is that you see the whole thing and they cut the panels so that it's like, yeah, no, I, this is kind of a nicer way of doing that. I mean, it's more traditional. It's not as like kind of different than the one from last volume. But this is kind of nice, and I like the way that the eye moves up to the top, and yeah, it's really nice. I like this panel or this page.
Yeah, that's really nice. But it's also where I sometimes wonder if it's necessary with the panel split. Because I feel in our eyes, like I think most people won't be too stupid to think, why are there four Gilads?
Yeah, I know.
So, and again, I'm not saying it's bad or not. It's just interesting to see, like, how would we read it? Would we read it differently? Because we have the captions, which always take our attention first.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's right below, and it's very clear that these are the important things. So I think the way it's been set up with this like diagonal line going through, I think it would have worked just as well, really. Though honestly, I'm a little bit peeved at looking at it now because it's like following a pretty nice line, anyways. It's a little annoying that the captions aren't like perfectly lined up, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I guess.
It's not like terrible. I mean, it probably would have covered up too much then. So, but it's just kind of like, ah, man, you're having a pattern. It's not correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just always nice having a character like this who can just have memories from like everywhere in all times. Yeah, it's cool having yeah, it's cool having him now in Japan fighting samurai.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of scared is the wrong word, but kind of nervous that it was going to be one of those typical, gaijin stories where, he comes and shows them the real way of fighting and everything's better because he brought the Western side and everything.
Well, it's the mighty whitey thing.
Mighty whitey?
Oh, you never heard that?
No.
That's the term for it. It's any story where like the white man comes and joins like the indigenous people and then suddenly becomes better at their ways than they are.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, and again, even if it's all done very humbly and like everyone's fine with it, just for the audience, it's kind of like, yay, go white people.
Yeah. I mean, you and I have discussed this, and we're not going to discuss it necessarily now on the podcast, but one of my favorite movies is The Last Samurai. It's also kind of like that, where you have, this white guy comes in, but I always feel like he just became part of the group. He was never like their leader or anything. So I feel like it's kind of an excuse. You know what I mean? Because it was kind of like with this as well. Like he never really, like Gilad never took the position of the leader. He was never anything extraordinary outside of course, the fact that he can't die. But you know what I mean? Like he wasn't. It wasn't like this mighty whitey thing where he came in and then became the best. He was just part of it. He was just part of the army. He was even told. I mean, I'm talking about Gilad here now. He was even told to stay back, like not go to the war. You know what I mean? So I feel like in these kind of stories where the white person is then not the center of it all is fine because I love the idea of just like cultural exchanges and stuff like that. So I feel like something like this is okay because he's just, as I said, he's just becoming a part of the army. He's trained to a certain level that would be acceptable or understandable given his skill set and the time he spent there. But he's not like this. He's not the anime main character who's like the perfect thing. I mean, I'm just watching Persona 4 and it's ridiculous how OP the main character is. Everyone gets one persona, which is like this kind of creature that kind of fights for them. He has like 10. And you don't even see him get most of them. Like at one point he was having a fight with someone. He was just like, persona this, persona that, persona this, persona. I was like, where did you get these personas? And it's just like he's swapping these personas out all the time. Like there was no like recoil. There was nothing, no reason, like nothing happened that was like bad to him. He was just like persona this, persona, like it was horrible.
He was following a guide to get like the perfect ending.
Yeah, probably. So that happened, and
but honestly, in that term, with that being said, I feel that might be the best kind of stories you can do with the Eternal Warrior. Then, having him be more of this like witness to things.
Well, yeah, I mean,
just take any kind of like historical scenario and have him be part of it.
Exactly.
Like, maybe you can have some fun if there are some, vague points in history.
Mm-hmm.
Like who we don't know how this happened, or
like any of the unknown soldier stories.
Yeah, use him to fill in the blanks because that's just cool.
Right. Yeah.
Like, there was this one, we don't know who did this thing. It was like this one masked man. And it's him.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So, but yeah, it's nice. And, just some nice, honestly, this is something I really want to see in any kind of like film depiction of him as well. The one on page 54.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta have scenes like that. But perhaps you could use some additional training. What are you talking about?
And he has arrows in his back.
Oh, you.
Like 5 arrows.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's something that's fun. And that's also, as she mentions too, that's the way he fights. Because he doesn't have to worry about it. And that's honestly, I feel, makes it very interesting because that's really the crux to all of fighting in the world in history.
Yeah.
I want to kill that guy, but I don't want him to kill me. Like, how can I, a spear, he can't reach that far with his hand, so I can, that's like all of that stuff. But if you don't have to worry about that, you can run out, all this gunfire and just slice people down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of interesting having her then, like, mention that, like, actually try to take care of yourself.
It's also crazy. I don't know. This is just a nitpick, but do we know at what time he fought the immortal enemy? Because
Yeah,
it
I mean,
seems
we
he
get some
always
idea of
has.
it.
Yeah, but he always has the 3 scars.
I think it has been okay with that in terms of continuity,
Okay.
because I have thought about that too. But we forget that the times that from the Valiant that we depict, where those scars are depicted,
Yeah.
they are very early in human history.
Yeah, they are. They are. But I
I
mean, it
mean, we
also
have
kind
this
of
like
makes.
Mayan, and we had like this
Yeah.
Mayan environment.
Yeah. Then we had a Nordic one.
Oh no, no, then it was like I think Greek or something, because it was a Minotaur.
Yeah, but then there was a Nordic one
Yeah, that was
as
the last
well.
one.
That was the last one. Okay.
So I'm thinking that's like very early Viking age or something.
Yeah. 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 It looked like it. Yeah, but it's also so crazy the fact that he hasn't been there for quite a while. But
It's
anyway,
definitely something to keep track of. Yes, for again,
yeah.
I won't be, I wouldn't throw a hissy fit,
No, of course not.
but it's still, but if you're gonna have a continuity, if you're gonna have like these rules, you gotta follow them, because
Mm-hmm.
it helps make the whole thing feel more real. So, but yeah, I think we, praised the Gilad enough.
Yeah, yeah. Sexy motherfucker. I'm gonna print that page out, and I'm gonna buy this image just so I can put that last page on my wall or something.
Well, let's check out Perry Perez, because a lot of comic book artists do sell their originals.
Ooh.
So
No.
see, and I'm sure, not to be mean to Valiant as usual, but I'm sure he has sold those Valiant things unbought.
Maybe.
Hey, it's what I'll get you for Christmas.
Please don't. My girlfriend's already having doubts. I'm kidding. Anyway, let's move on. All right, issue 17. Now we get to Livewire's part of the story. She leaves the battlefield with Ginger, and this is a point where I thought that this fight was after they caught Divinity. Because they mentioned that whole thing that they have the parcel, or they have this thing that they're trying to, yeah. So anyway, Livewire also spends her days off doing normal things until she's fired from a charity. And we get some backstory when she was at the Harbinger Foundation, or corporation, or whatever it's called. Foundation?
Yeah, the Foundation.
Okay, good. If we needed any more proof that she's like Iron Man, this story helps, with her suit coming off and on like Eric's, and her having a Jarvis-like assistant. On her date, Livewire reads her date's phone, emails, and everything, and this is why she can't date anymore. Life just isn't simple. So she chats with Neville, maybe she's interested in Ninjak, and then she starts chatting up a guy in the coffee shop without looking anything up. Summarizing these issues, they sound so boring.
Well, everything does. I mean, that's why I always hate when people make like, like you've seen posts of people like explaining how Harry Potter is the same thing as Star Wars or something. And you can manage that by simplifying things down to such a core atom.
Yeah.
Like, so a young orphan, like, yeah, there's plenty of orphan characters.
Mm-hmm.
So he's whisked away, like, I mean, immediately it doesn't work because he's not truly an orphan. Luke isn't truly an orphan, right?
Well,
He just
no.
thinks he is. Well, Harry remains one all the time. Anyways.
Well, no, I mean, technically, yeah, you can be an orphan with your parents still being alive, right?
No,
Like
aren't you just abandoned then?
Yeah, but isn't that the definition of an orphan as well, if your parents abandon you as well?
Oh, well, I guess you're right. I mean, I remember when I was in Bulgaria and we let's go helping out at that orphanage, and I did see, oh, that was awful. I did see like a car drive up with like parents dropping off a child.
Oh my god.
So I guess you're right.
Yeah, here we go. An orphan is a child whose parents are dead, unknown, or have permanently abandoned him or her.
All right, then you're right.
In common usage, only a child who has lost both parents due to death is called an orphan. When referring to animals, only the mother's condition is usually irrelevant, i.e. if the female parent has gone, the offspring is an orphan regardless of the father's condition.
Well, they're all deadbeat bats animals.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So, but yeah, this was also again really nice. So I think you said too that this was your favorite, or did I mishear you?
I think you misheard me.
So
I just
again,
said that she became like I liked her a little bit more because of the story.
yeah, okay, yeah, that's what you said, yeah.
Yeah, like especially with Livewire, I just kind of because I got to know her so much more now, and again, not in the sense of backstory, because I don't necessarily think that backstory is that important or interesting. It's more like their day to day lives that just kind of shows who they are. I mean, like here, I mean, just seeing the way that you know the charity woman was like talking to her and the way that she reacted to that's kind of shitty. Or the fact that she does this kind of stuff, like she goes to this adoption agency and gives them like technology and money and stuff like that. That tells me a lot more than seeing any of her backstory. I mean, even the backstory pages, there's like 2 pages where she does backstory stuff that meant like nothing, because none of that stuff is irrelevant anymore, because there's so many things that have happened in her life since then that probably shaped her more than that one scene with Harada. And I feel like all of this is just, yeah, it's just nice. And the decision she makes to actually tap into this guy's phone and see what a douchebag he is, it's so indicative of her characteristics, and that's what I like about these kind of stories, is these small choices that kind of show us who we are.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's there's also kind of stuff like this compared to like the other 2 issues. This is the stuff which I always find amusing with like a superhero story, like use of powers for mundane things.
Mm-hmm.
It's always something fun with just Superman, using his heat vision to heat up something,
or shave, like in the Lois and Clark show.
Yeah, but like little things like that, they're doing things in secret, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
So just like that, they're like, I kind of wrote that down here as a thing too. I don't think I could stop myself, because again, I'd imagine that I wouldn't like treat the person differently. But even so, like the fact that you can kind of find out everything about the person and then know if they are good or
who
not.
They say are, yeah.
So, but again, of course, it is a breach of privacy, and even if he was a douchebag, it's still like, yeah, I mean, it seems like she doesn't even want to know it really. Like she can't really enjoy anyone if she knows every darkest secret of the person.
Which is why she has the hots for Ninjak.
So yeah, I was gonna go. At first, I was a little bit, because it was that one panel that kind of was kind of like
Where she was it? Where she was in bed, or?
Yes, it's page 83. Yeah. So it's those free like flashback panels.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of like, really? Yes, there's that one guy on the team, and you have to kind of be.
Well, there's 2 guys on the team.
So yeah, but so who knows how many STDs what's called Gilad has, like extinct ones.
Oh man.
No,
do you think he would be cured of STDs though? Would that be something that like
that sounds like a typical comic book discussion or superhero discussion? Are they immune to STDs, or is that like a separate thing? So are parasites actually, like, is that part of like a healing factor? So that's. Okay,
but I mean, honestly, I didn't mind the whole like team thing that she starts getting attracted to Ninjak or whatever, because that's so natural. I mean, if you spend a lot of time in teams and stuff like that, it just becomes incestual. And I mean, it was the same thing with my swimming team as well. Like, because we spend so much time together, we didn't have time outside of swimming much. So, where would you meet people? At swimming. What kind of people did you hang out with? Swimming people. And then, that's where relationships form. And I feel like this is totally natural. I mean, she spent so much time, working with Unity and being part of that team. It's that whole thing, like, what was it called? You're not hot, your workplace hot.
Oh, it's kind of like that thing from How I Met Your Mother, the whole like manatee thing.
No, I think that was more about being friends with someone.
Oh, okay, well, that's specifically
Oh no,
later
no, no,
on.
no, no, no! It wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, that was the yeah. It's the manatee thing. Yeah, yeah. It's the mermaid manatee thing. Yeah, they had that in the office. I just remember that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. The manatee thing.
So, but either way, yeah, no, but for me, it worked out better later because, as you mentioned, she can't read him.
Mm.
So, and that to me like works better as why you'd be intrigued by a person. Like I agree with you. You know, there is that whole thing about just spending time with people. Eventually, you know, just sort of happens.
Yeah.
But I prefer, yes, narratively, just more interesting. Like a woman who can see your whole past,
Mm-hmm.
like know everything about you. That's removing any sense of mystery or excitement. You know, to actually then have someone who is a mystery, who you know you could learn about the classic way.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know. That's I find more charming and interesting for a character.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think it's really interesting. Her apartment.
Mm.
It's a very it's nice when these small details kind of get put in. The fact that her apartment is so bland. Like if you look at all the panels starting at 82 when she gets in, there's nothing necessarily personal. The walls are more or less blank. There's a
Mm.
lot of like, even the couch doesn't look that comfortable really. It's just like all squares and looks hard, and it just shows that, it's one of those apartments where either someone who lives there who doesn't necessarily care much about like, making a home, so to speak, or it's someone who's just not at home a lot. Like I had a colleague, she mentioned, she was like, yeah, I don't know how we got to this topic, but she was like, yeah, I don't have a TV or internet at home right now. And I was like, what? How do you not have a TV or anything like that? And it's like, yeah, because I'm working all the time. Like she was like constantly on trips and stuff like that. She was just like constantly in different countries and in different cities in Germany. And she was like, yeah, I don't necessarily have a weekend at home, and so I just usually, I don't have time to set up a TV or internet or anything like that. So yeah, she was living there for like over a year already, and she just didn't have ever time to do anything. And that's what her apartment looked like, kind of like her apartment. But that TV is
Yeah,
really
that's
nice.
very.
I want to get that TV.
Yeah, that's the kind of interesting thing, though. And that could also be the interesting thing to reflect on her as well, for all those reasons. But also in terms of her maybe, yes, lacking, again, not that she lacks a personality, but she's all about more about function over form. Like
True.
everything just does what it needs to.
Yeah, that's a nice perspective. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's some stuff. Again, there's those paintings on the wall.
Yeah, but those are those paintings that you have in like a showroom. Like they're not personal. They're those they're like the pictures that are inside frames when you buy them.
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't have like friends or family anywhere. I mean, we see one picture from the back next to her nightstand,
Mm.
and we don't see what's in there. And that would be interesting to see, like if it's like her mom, her dad, some family member, something like that, or maybe it's Ninjak. Who knows?
I just
But
noticed
yeah,
something though, because when I was looking at the panel with the paintings, so
the
she has a
Roomba.
Roomba,
Yeah. Yes.
and that, considering it's her,
Yeah.
I just want to imagine that it's kind of been given a personality of some sort,
Yeah.
just like a
Yeah.
pet
Yeah.
coming in.
Or he's like, oh shit, she's coming home. I need to clean fast.
I don't know, but that's the thing. I love stuff like that, when it's not
Mm.
brought attention to. And this whole volume has been like that, to showcase the characters in their non-combat scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just nice seeing these little things. So same thing too. I was mentioning about using your powers for mundane use.
Yeah.
Yes, her crossing the street there. Yes, like walk. It's like
Mm-hmm.
yes, that's of course. Just walk there. Yes, and then Just make it change lights like perfect. But also, I love the bank robbery.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just like all the other action scenes we've been seeing, they don't matter. Like this was totally irrelevant.
Well, I mean, not totally irrelevant, but in the larger scale, yeah.
Yeah, in larger scale. But it's just so nice because it's just, I don't know. I just like sometimes seeing some super heroics. It's like the first Wonder Woman scene in Justice League.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, but you should see it. It's great.
Yeah, well, come and babysit our dog, and then I'll go watch it.
So bring the dog with you. I'm sure the dog will like it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just a nice. It's not like specifically like this scene, but just a very nice scene of super heroics, and like bank robberies are like the classic.
Yeah.
And the thing here too, it's done well with her powers. I love the fact that there's, she doesn't throw a single punch. It's pure like communication and control.
Mm-hmm.
She spots that, okay, there are guys inside the vault. Well, it's all electronic. I'm going to close the door. And then sends a text to that one guy. It's just like, great. Check the duffel bag. What? Explodes the paint packs or whatever it's called. And then even that whole little thing about find a new job.
Yeah.
Just kind of nice. Like, I'm not even sure if she did have them arrested or not. Like, actually giving them a chance to actually change their ways.
Mm-hmm.
But just nice, so smooth, so clean. And again, for a threat like that, she definitely should be able to beat it, like, simple.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like, this should have been no... And just, like, again, with those guys that Ninjak beat and... like, yeah, this is how it should be. This is a low-level threat that she, as a high-level character, can take care of.
Yeah. I also love the fact that then after her date, when, it's kind of ruined because she checked the guy's phone, she doesn't turn the street light anymore. She actually waits for the green light.
That's very nice. I didn't think about that.
This is what I love about this comic. It feels like there was so much thought and detail put into this. It's like they were really passionate about making this comic, and it really shows, and it's just amazing. I love it.
Well, a lot of our discussion this time around has been a lot like when, a lot of like film criticism and discussion.
Yeah, true.
Like film analysis, because that's the terms and things we've been pointing out are a lot like that with... Now, do you notice how, during this whole scene, we only see the character from the back or, whatever.
Yeah.
Or how the light source always comes from this direction, it's... But I like that. I like when you can do that for anything if you want to, but the fact that it's come naturally.
I found a little... They copied panels.
Where?
Sorry, page 95 and 96. You can actually go scroll up and down, and the only thing that changes is her head.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit zoomed in, but... And then also in the third panel, or the fourth panel of 95 is also the same, like the exact same one. I mean, again, you can't necessarily blame them. I mean, such a perfect comic. Otherwise, you don't have to nitpick on the one time they copied a panel.
Well, I feel like I didn't think of it at all, and I usually notice that. Like I always notice it in things where they actually had to redraw the panels.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, I don't mind copy paste if it works.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of supposed to be that she's just still and just
Exactly. But yeah, here's hoping that things work out with that hipster.
Hipster? I think he was a bodybuilder.
So yeah, I don't know. That beard kind of gives the hipster look.
You're just jealous that you can't have a nice beard. Your beard just always looks hobo, or no, it just looks hobo all the time. You come over, I force you to shave, and it looks good for like a week, and then you're back to hobo.
Yeah. Well, it's good. It keeps the what's called muggers away from me because they don't think I have anything.
And the ladies.
No, ignore that guy. He can't have anything.
Actually, let's give him something.
Oh, but yeah, really nice issue. So, and as you said, really further expands Livewire as a character.
All right.
And as we discussed before too, she really is a really good character.
Yeah, she is.
Issue 18. We finally find out what happened before these 3 issues. It was Malgam from Armor Hunters that they were fighting, under supervision of Charlie Palmer from Hardcore. Despite getting a few good hits in, all 3 got their asses handed to them by Malgam, who only stopped fighting once Ginger showed up to calm him down with memories of his compatriots.
Quite literal Deus Ex Machina. I'm trying.
Everyone seems fine. Well, everything seems fine, except for the introduction of next volume's villain, the Warmonger, who just straight up kills a diplomat with a baseball bat. Honestly, I gotta bring this up here, because Are
you okay?
Yeah, I mean, there's this mystery sort of about like what's been going on, and obviously the tension's kind of been removed from the get-go because we know it worked out. 3 issues ago, so 3 months ago.
Yeah. Oh God.
But and it's kind of cool seeing this guy again. Yes, because like, oh yeah, that's a thing that happened.
Oh yeah, he exists.
But I don't know. It's just hard for me to remember like his power level because I guess he should be an Exo Manowar type because he has that suit. But I don't know. It just felt a little like they really got their asses handed to him, and I'm not sure if he was worth that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where I think it's hard to relate him to other characters' power level if you've only seen him fight against Exo Manowar. I mean, it's like think about it, if like Doomsday and Superman are fighting, and then Batman jumps in, and after one punch, he just gets obliterated. I mean, it's obvious because then you're like, well, yeah, Superman can take that punch, but Batman can't. So you know what I mean? Like for all intents and purposes, Unity does not have any super strength in their arsenal.
That's true.
And this guy is pure super strength.
That is actually a very good point.
So, I mean, yeah, they have their nice powers, and yeah, Ninjak was able to best him with some ninjutsu, but in the end, yeah, they're going to get punched, they're going to get hurt. So yeah, I think it's fine. I had no problem with the power level here. I mean, especially because they made a big deal out of it in the second page of the issue where he was going through all the like,
oh yeah,
walk through a foot of the strongest wall known to man like it was paper, and then walk through about 6 more feet of the same stuff and a 1/4 mile of bedrock. So it's kind of like, yeah, this guy strong.
That's actually a fair point. I mean, I remember that part too, but I don't know. It's
well, it's easy to forget because they're all like superheroes. You just assume because super strength is kind of like the base power,
right? Yeah, we
like pretty much
take it for granted.
Pretty much everyone has it.
Like flight as well. Super strength and flight is probably the most boring powers.
Right, and that's why I always think it's kind of weird with Faith. Just like her power is flight. It's like cool. And especially, let's just mention this real quick, especially in the last issue where, where Livewire literally said, yeah, now we didn't have a flying character anymore, so I just whipped something up, and now she can fly. And I was like, oh man, way to make that superpower sound like completely useless. So anyway,
useless, but just so like easy.
Yeah.
It's like I always find it sad with characters like Angel from X-Men, I think his name was.
Yes.
Because it's a cool thing. I love the the angelic appearance of it all and the fact that he can fly.
Visually it's amazing.
So, but the whole fact that there's so many characters who can fly easier than him, because I'm assuming he still has to kind of follow like bird wing like flight physics. But so many characters who can just like float, use the whole like hovering and stuff like that, psychic like bubble field.
Yeah.
So it's just and I think that was kind of the fun thing with Sephard and with Faith. The fact that again, there's the amusingness of her body type, so making her then like be the lightest of them all. But even so, like I like the fact that it's like, yeah, let's keep to some, like some core simple powers and see what they can do with it. But yeah, you're right. Once flight is easy to give to everyone, it just gets like, Still though, I like Livewire's method of it. It's one of those things where you like, it's like that won't work. But the fact there is an explanation is enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, I guess, with her superpower, she can make all these little like fly wings or whatever work. It's cool. And again,
Yeah.
it finally explains how because she's done it before, I think, without an explanation. And I always
Actually, I can't
wondered.
remember.
I feel I have seen, or if I'm thinking in the future, I'm pretty sure we've seen her before doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
I just assumed it would
Okay.
be sort of like Magneto. It's sort of like this electromagnetic field kind of thing.
Yeah, or he, because he has like iron on him or whatever, and you can just magnetize
Oh,
that.
true. Yeah, I guess that would be the thing.
Yeah, but to
But
get back to this issue,
yeah, well, it's kind of interesting too because we just have these three solemn issues, just very calm, as we said, breather episodes,
mm-hmm.
and then like of actual fights, like just counting the actual like fighting, we suddenly have 8 pages of actual fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool, and that's what I was saying before too. It works so much better as a volume because having this end with this like issue. Yes, having the whole like 3 weeks earlier,
Right.
it just works so well because we like, oh, what happened to these three? Like, oh, I was so terrible.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, I could not imagine reading these over a 4-month period. I
Exactly.
mean, especially because there's so much going on. Even if I was a comic book fan in the sense of like I'm like all into totally passionate about comics, I would have forgotten half of what has happened. I would have had to like reread stuff before I read the second one. And
And the
I don't know,
thing
maybe,
too
maybe
is, but also by dividing them into these volumes, it just gives it a different kind of way of portraying it. Because if you're just, let's say you're not collecting the volumes, let's say they don't
yeah,
make volumes, this is like the
yeah,
olden days,
yeah.
then it's just another part of a long running series. So the whole like even like the whole ending with showing off the next threat, like that's just like, okay, the next issue we have the warmonger. But here it's more like, okay, we've had this whole thing going on, we have a nice completed story. It's just
I'd like to compare this to a cinematic universe.
mm,
That's what I see these as. These are movies that I'm watching. Like the 4 volumes are movies that I'm watching, or the 4 issues are movies that I'm watching, and then I look forward to the next movie like next year or in 2 years or whatever. It's like with all the Marvel movies, they're all setting each other up, but they're all like self-contained things. And yeah, then every now and again I'll get Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 in between new characters and all that stuff, and that's what these are. I think if you read them as like issues, you're basically just getting a TV show that has a lot of different arcs inside one season.
yeah. So I think you're
So
right.
yeah, I don't think I'm ever. I mean, maybe that's one of the problems that I had with the comics is that I just did not like reading them month to month. Maybe it would be more interesting to try and see if I could get back into comics, but reading them only in volumes. And I know that's horrible for the industry, and everyone's always saying that you should be reading floppies instead of the volumes. But it makes more sense this way.
Yeah, it was like I've said, it's or like we've discussed it too. It'd be nicer just having these like sort of like albums,
Mm,
so rather than having it be like you said, this monthly floppy that's usually worse quality paper anyways.
exactly.
Why not, yeah, or set it up in such a way that every month you do get a new volume because, again, not from the same series, but of the same universe. So January we got X-O Manowar Volume 1. Then February we got Ninjak Volume 1 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they're still working the same like way, but instead of like 4 months to get 4 issues, it's 4 months to get that volume. So
Yeah,
they
exactly.
technically we'd get 3 Unity volumes per year, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I think that would be totally acceptable. I mean, because you're not getting. I mean, honestly, you're not getting any less or any more. It's not everyone. Everything's not publishing around the same time.
Yeah, and if you keep track of like the advertising of it, so to speak, so you're aware of it in terms of
Yeah.
maybe having like a countdown or something, just to kind of like maybe previews here and there, yes, commercials, so to speak. But yeah, I don't know.
But as you see, it's not that interesting what was actually happening in the comic, because we're just talking about
Well, it's a
the meta of it all.
Well, I mean, the fight's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
But that's the thing, because see, that's the thing right here. We get a fight, and we're talking about something completely different, because in and of itself, the fight is not interesting. It's well done. It looks great. It makes a lot of sense. Everything's like, yes, this feels good.
Yeah,
but
I gotta give props to page 114. So I love the effect of, like, I'm assuming that's all those like wings or something on her body.
Yeah, or just everything generally ripping. I mean, just the power that's behind that punch is just
beautifully illustrated. Like,
it's
done
amazing. And then again, that shows the difference between their power levels.
Then little things too, like I've always said that I love what's called page 119. So using the panel there or the first panel there to kind of give the whole effect of the what's called lines, like the border.
Oh yeah.
Again, just a nice little thing. It's very easy to do digitally as well.
I gotta say, I really hope that Palmer knew that that Gilad was like,
immortal.
Yeah, immortal, because that dude just covered him in fire.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. That did feel very, considering he's a military guy too.
Yeah. He just put him straight into the line of fire and just kind of just blew it up. And I felt like, okay, maybe that's going to come up in the story, that they're not, working together right or something like that. But nope, it's just.
Yeah, it didn't feel quite right. I agree.
Yeah.
But especially they kept him of all people who always bitches about like protocol and how to properly do things.
Yeah. It's weird. But otherwise, yeah, it was really good. I mean, just I felt the way that they beat him, quote unquote, also interesting. It was a nice thing to, because I totally forgot about that they had a connection. But I mean, obviously, I remembered when I saw it. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next with or what they're going to use him for, basically. And of course, and also Warmonger here.
I'm really looking forward to that volume because I remember it. It was really good.
So is that supposed to be Nelson Mandela, or?
I don't think so.
I mean, it looks like a very African flag on the front of the car, and he looks very Nelson Mandela-y.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's just supposed to. I mean, as much as they like using real world politics in Valiant, I think just having a character get real life politician getting like their head smashed in might be a little bad taste.
Yeah, true.
But I mean, I'm not going to spoil the next volume, but I find this character very interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to it. Is that the next of Unity volume or the next volume?
Yeah, no, next Unity volume.
Yeah, okay. So
that'll be
half a year.
I think it'll be relatively soon because I think we're currently in it will be. Let's see here, 1, 2. Yeah, it'll be the next third one.
Oh damn.
Yeah, because right now the volumes I think are during what do you call it? A period of time with no new series.
Okay.
Like they weren't having any new series coming out at this point, so there's no new like volumes coming out. So at the moment it's like Ninjak, Time Walker, Unity, Imperium, and Exo Manowar. Like there's nothing else that's new because Archer and Armstrong's gone.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah, it looks fun. Can't wait.
So, but yeah, so we were discussing already then in terms of, yes, that's a whole volume, worked really well. And again, just definitely I suggest a single book is one of the better ones because those 3 issues.
Definitely.
Yeah, just really nice.
It's just so good. I mean, so good.
And I agree with you. I changed my mind regarding like Malcolm's use. Because I agree, with them portraying his strength earlier. And then as we know, his invulnerable, well, not full invulnerability, but for the most part. it makes sense that these three, like without the Exo Manowar there too.
Yeah.
So who is the like actual muscle? So it makes sense that they would have a hard time.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, it's just a really cool, solid volume of Unity.
Yeah, definitely. So anything else, or should we call it a day?
I think that's fine. We're above an hour now, and we went through everything. Oh,
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then you can discuss this episode on Reddit, tweet us, or you can follow us on Facebook. Also, all of our episodes are available on our hosting site, Podbean. Links are in the show notes. Catch us next time for
Imperium Volume 2, Broken Angels.